Me, Beth and Sandy and Channy. Mhm.
Morning, Channy.
Wherever you are. There she
Hey
is.
all,
Hello. Hey, Drew.
good morning.
Andy.
19 degrees here,
What
Colorado weather.
what's the temp?
19 degrees
Oh,
this morning when
What did you say?
19.
what's your temp, Guys in the
Yeah.
that
Right around freezing.
okay.
We had snow the other day.
Ah,
It's
Where are
30
you guys?
degrees right now?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ooh, brr. It's
Oh.
cold for there.
There's Sandy, our yoga friend.
yes, Sandy. Come
Morning.
on. All right.
So, just so that people know, because we always assume that they do, and they may not, Linnell teaches online yoga classes twice, 4 times a week. A morning class at 8 on Monday and Wednesdays,
Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, and evening class on Monday and Wednesdays. If anyone's interested in a gentle, traditional yoga practice on Zoom. So we haven't thrown that out there in a while.
And it's wonderful.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. I'm working my way back there.
I've had several of you that I'm looking at on the screen in my class, Francis and Guy and Tom and Alice and Sandy, Cherry. Yep. Okay. Julie, we miss you, man.
What time is your evening class, Linnell?
Evening class, the times are Central Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, Monday, Wednesday. So we have coast to coast mornings, East Coast all the way to West Coast. So it's pretty cool. Gina, where's Gina? She's there too. Yeah. Dale.
Yeah. So the reading today is a poem entitled Face to Face by Thomas Tranströmer.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. Did you say you were going to record, Matthew, or do you want me to, or how's that going? Whoops, wait a minute, I just muted you. No, Nandi, no. Here.
Why don't you take that? Could you go stir the soup?
Linnell, he started the recording.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So, in February, living stood still. The birds flew unwillingly, and the soul chafed against the landscape as a boat chafes against the pier it lies moored to. The trees stood with their backs turned to me. The deep snow was measured with dead straws. The footprints grew old out on the crust. Under a tarp, language pined. One day something came to the window. Work was dropped. I looked up. The colors flared. Everything turned around. The earth and I sprang towards each other. I love the way poets use language against itself without describing philosophically what's going on. He talks about the way our whole being set against what surrounds us, what is. He's surrounded by winter, but he feels it's turned its back on him. Rimbaud's phrase, looked at me with affectionate glances, isn't happening at that point. And then he has that moment where all of a sudden everything turns towards him, and they leapt towards each other. And that's exactly what spiritual teachers mean by love. We're not talking about an emotion. We're not talking about anything complicated or word. We're talking about that attraction, that magnetic attraction of energy, that we are drawn towards life. Life is drawn towards us. And that's what creates the unity of the universe, what keeps it from blowing apart into a multiverse. So today we're going to continue our journey looking at everything we're experiencing as energy. God is energy. We begin our journey of experience with the purity of sensory experience, where I'm receiving that information, that energy, and it's becoming aware of it because it stimulates my senses. As yet, it's not a word, it's not an emotion, it's pure sensation. And this is where Zen tries to get back to that immediacy. There is no mediation between me and the universe. I'm experiencing that energy directly, without interpretation, without words. And this comes from an article on the lack of connection with the body in Western spirituality. And he says, that's what we'll do next week. He says, according to the Yogacarya, which is a Hindu text, as we live our lives, the body itself is completely non-judgmental.
Turn the flashlight on.
Completely non-judgmental in the way it receives experience. These days, there's much talk about
Flashlight on.
mute. Okay. These days, there's much talk about creating effective personal boundaries. But the interesting point is that you actually can't put up boundaries around your body. The boundaries happen up top in the head. The body is open. The body is sensitive. The body is vulnerable. The body is intelligent. And the body is completely beyond judgment. From the body's viewpoint, whether we like or dislike what is occurring in the world is irrelevant. You need to hear that word. Whether we like it or not is irrelevant from the point of view of the body, from the point of view of reality. One way of saying that is that poem by Rilke. God, what is extraordinary and eternal does not want to be bent by us, does not want to be understood. That's why we have commandments against creating any image of God, because it does violence. There's no way to name this energy we're experiencing. There's no preference for it. It doesn't matter what I think or feel. It is what it is. And it's that isness that the poet is experiencing in the beginning of the poem, the isness of winter, the isness of disconnection. It is, but we don't prefer it, and as a consequence, we turn our backs on it. It's not turning its back on us. We're labeling it as undesirable. Whatever occurs in our environment, our body is going to receive it. While the body receives experience in a completely open and non-judgmental way, because of our investment in who we think we are and our efforts to maintain a sense of self, we refuse to receive a great part of what the body knows and feels and understands. We, in this case, meaning our conscious self, our conscious mind, our ego, the world of words. An experience occurs on a bodily level and we say no, or we say, I want this part of what's happening, but not that part. But we don't simply accept what the body knows in a straightforward way. And this is what Buddhism calls ignorance. Ignorance is not being unintelligent, uninformed, or deluded. Ignorance is actually incredibly intelligent. Ignorance means that we block out the wisdom and the knowledge already abiding in our body that is inconsistent with who we think we are or what we're striving to be. So we're moving in now. We've talked a little bit about how the energy comes in as the senses and how the body very naturally is going to resonate with certain things and is also going to have a pushback against other things, and how we began to feel that in our bodies. Okay? That pushback. We did some of that work last week. That begins to harden into patterns in the brain, patterns of reaching towards. That's what creates addiction. We talked about the energy that comes from inside the body that's triggered when we have an emotional response from the emotional centers of the brain. And we have anger, and you can feel that energy coming, but it's not coming from outside. It's being generated from our memory banks. Now we're going to begin to look at the power of words. Words generate energy. And we're going to see the power of those words and the impact that they can have on our bodies. So all day long, we think thoughts. And just like we think that what's going on in the world is what's going on in our thoughts. And we just had this reading that said, no, the words are actually blocking out a lot of what's going on in the world. A lot of what we're also doing is blocking out the impact that our words are having on our bodies. My people who work with me get tired of me correcting their language. And the reason I correct their language is because that language impacts their bodies regardless of whether they know it or not. Because of the ignorance, you think you're getting away with what you're thinking, and it's not impacting you, but it's having a profound impact on you in the body. So we're going to try and experience a little bit of this in a less personal way. So we're going to use temperature and generate feelings in the body by looking at two polar opposites of degrees of temperature or heaviness or lightness in the body, and see if you can feel the sensations. Again, we're dealing with energy, and some of you who are new, and even some of you who've been long-time meditators but not dealt on the physical level, it may be difficult to tune into the energy levels, but realize vibration is energy. Heat and warmth are energy. Heavy and lightness, these things we're talking about are energy. It's not something different. It's another way that you sense this energy is as heaviness, as lightness, as brightness, as darkness. This is language describing our relationship to that energy that is reality. So, Maestro, one ringy dingy. Begin to allow your awareness to settle on the sensations of the breath. Beginning to let go of the need to understand, the need to make anything happen, or to prevent anything from happening. Letting go of the past, which is memory. The future, which is projection. And just settling into the flow of energy that is the now. Noticing any effort to control the breath. Know that the body breathes itself without your awareness, without your permission at night. It knows how to do it, doesn't need your help. And just step back from the position of the witness and follow the breathing process without interfering. Just awareness directly connecting with the breath. Allowing the breath to be as it is. And now begin to bring your awareness to the parts of the body without thinking the body, without trying to create or avoid anything. Just allow your awareness to experience the soles of both feet. The right buttock. The left buttock. The right side of the small of the back. And the left side of the small of the back. Now the middle of the back on the left side. middle of the back on the right side. Bring your awareness to the right shoulder blade. And now the left. Now bring your awareness to the whole spinal cord. And now the whole back. Bringing your awareness to the neck, the back of the head, the crown of the head, the forehead, the right temple, the left temple, the right ear, the left ear, the right cheek, the left cheek, awareness connecting with the sensations in the right eyebrow, the left eyebrow, the center between the two eyebrows, the whole nose, the tip of the nose, upper lip, and lower lip, the tongue, both lips together, the chin, the throat, right chest, left chest, the whole chest, the heart, the upper abdomen, the lower abdomen, whole right leg, whole left leg, whole right arm, whole left arm, the whole head, the whole body. Feel the whole body. The body filled with awareness. Now become aware of heaviness. Feel the weight of the body against the floor. The sensations of heaviness entering your awareness. Noticing how energy goes where awareness goes. Feel the weight increasing in the forearms. Heaviness in the upper arms. The hands, the elbows, both arms, hands, and shoulders are heavy. Feel the heaviness in the feet. The calves and shins. Heaviness in the thighs. Heaviness all over. The body heavy. Heaviness in the eyes, forehead. Cheeks. The entire face heavy. The entire body heavy. Feeling of heaviness in the whole body. And now let your awareness come to the feeling of lightness in the body. Sensations in the body that are lighter than air, almost weightless. Feeling lightness in the hands. The arms. The shoulders. Awakening to the feeling of lightness in the whole body. The toes and feet. The trunk of the body. The whole body is light. Weightless. Feeling of barely touching the floor. And now become aware of heat in the body. Sensations of heat and warmth throughout the body. Feeling that the sun is shining. That you're laying in the sunshine without a care. The feeling of warmth suffusing the whole body. The arms and hands warm, relaxed, melting. Feet and legs, full of warmth. trunk and face radiating heat and warmth. Experiencing the heat through the whole body. And now cold. Touching sensations in the body that feel like walking barefoot in a basement. Immersing your body in a cold pool. Feel the cold and accept it, feeling the cold to the very marrow of your bones. As if a frosty wind is blowing, snow is covering the ground. Covering the whole body. And now become aware of pleasure. Close to a real feeling of happiness and joy. Remembering a time in your life when you felt content, happy, carefree. When you felt worthy and hopeful. Glad to be alive. When life felt spacious, light. When you felt a deep feeling of contentment, peace, at home in the world, and alive in your life. And feel those sensations spread throughout your body. Filling the body, the energy of joy and wholesomeness, freedom and meaning, resting content in these sensations. Okay, sports fans. Questions, comments? So remember, this was designed to show the power that words have to direct our awareness and to actually create realities in our body. That is your energy in your body, evoking that reality. So this is very different energy from the energy that comes from the external world and the cold that's actually in the world. This is the sensations of cold coming from your mind, directing energy to those particular sets of sensations in your body. So you are able in the same body to generate sensations of warmth and sensation of coolness, sensations of heaviness and sensations of lightness, both happening in your body, one tuned in through attention, the other one tuned out. And that's what they mean by ignorance. And we're going to go into that next week, is that in these kind of polar opposites that the mind creates, there's a preference for one over the other. And when we do that, we put half the world in the shadow. This is what Jung meant by the shadow, that there's all kinds of things happening in your emotions, your body, your mind, the world that you're ignoring. And because of the fact that you're ignoring it, that's why you keep stumbling over the sofa. It's because you literally can't see what you don't allow yourself to see. And you're at the same time projecting and creating a reality. Matrix was a very powerful film, if you haven't seen it. The idea that we're jacked into a consensus reality that we all think is real, and we think we're having one experience when there's a whole other world going on that we're actively ignoring. So I hope this gave you a taste of what is meant by the mind's ability to create a projection, to shape your reality. So the New Age thing is, oh, the mind has the power to create reality. I'm going to visualize having a Mercedes. No, it doesn't work on that level, people. It works on the level of what you're creating in your mind is what you're going to allow yourself to experience about what's happening. So if I'm focused on having a Mercedes to be happy and peaceful in my life, I'm going to ignore the part of me that is content in this moment right now. So the Buddhists, rather than having their little visualization pictures, practice santosha. I love that word, santosha. So practice contentment with this moment. Let this moment be enough. If I can let this moment be enough, it's there, that feeling's there, it's part of your being, then I don't have to grasp after something outside of myself. So on the other hand, if I'm trying to tell myself that my things are making me happy, then that becomes my reality too. And then at times it's going to fade. The dopamine's going to go out of it, and I'm going to be unhappy again and think, what's wrong with me that I can't be happy? And it's not you, it's just you're in wrong relationship with what's there. I hope that's helpful. So questions, comments?
Janie.
I think probably everybody is familiar with the World Happiness survey that's done every year. And every year for something like the past 8 or 10 years, Finland, the Finns have ranked highest in the happiness ranking. And I can't remember if this article came from the Guardian publication. Anyway, they sent a reporter to Finland to interview a lot of people, different ages, different, rural and as well as urban dwellers. And everyone said that they don't think that this survey is exactly right because they don't feel happy, as in joyous all the time. What they feel is contentment.
Yep.
And they think that that is, for two reasons. One is they have a social safety net that takes away fear and anxiety over basic essentials. And the second is that they do not have high expectations for their lives. And so they're not constantly being disappointed when one thing or another doesn't happen that they wanted to happen, or that they couldn't get something that they wanted. And it was also suggested by the author of the article, not someone interviewed, that one of the reasons Americans have such a high level of discontentment is because of advertising.
Absolutely.
We watch so much television, and also think of all the kids who are watching TikTok and Instagram, and also, even if you're not watching television, if you are online and you're doing a Google search or whatever, there's constant ads coming up telling you that you have to have these shoes because they're the best, or you have to have this mattress, otherwise you're not going to be able to sleep.
Right.
And our brains are constantly being barraged with all these advertisements for things that are going to make our lives better.
Right.
And they're not. In fact, they make our lives worse, seeing them constantly giving us the message that we are not adequate, we don't have enough, we need to have these things in order to make our lives better. And that constant injection into your brain of not being good enough and not having enough is what causes so much of the discontentment in this country.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that, because I'm really getting to the point where I'm going to recommend to people that they quit picking up their phones. My son works for Google and he just quit. He works in artificial intelligence. So he's part of the crew that when you do a search and you start getting pop-up ads, that's my son. And he said it's totally unethical. And he said he couldn't continue to work for them because of what they've done. Of course, if you've seen Social Dilemma, you know they never intended it to be exploited the way that it has. But we really need to disconnect. It's very similar to the thing in Matrix and detox from what you're saying, because we are being told by our brains that this is meaningful. They did a survey where they put 10 people in a room and took their phones away and said they'd give them $500 if they could not look at their phone for 1 hour. And at 55 minutes, they started ringing one of the phones, and the tension in the room became unbearable. That's the Shenpa. And
Yes.
finally, one of the people broke to see if it was their phone. And when they broke, all 10 got up, even though they were just a minute away from getting $500. The ringing of the phone was so powerful they couldn't not answer it. And so what I'm trying to get, it does matter what you think. It does matter what you feed your brain. Okay. So, and then Linnell just pulled up this thing from
Which is addressing exactly
exact
what
same thing,
Shani had to say.
but in terms of self-fulfillment, he says, this is a total mind fuck. Wanting positive experiences is a negative experience. Accepting negative experiences is a positive experience. It's what the philosopher Alan Watts used to refer to as the backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become. As pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you don't have it. The more you desperately want to be rich, the more poor and unworthy you feel, regardless of how much money you actually make. The more desperately you want to be sexy and desire, the uglier you come to see yourself, regardless of your actual physical appearance. The more you desperately want to be happy and loved, the lonelier and more afraid you become, regardless of those surrounding you. The more you want to be spiritually enlightened, look out, folks, the more self-centered and shallow you become trying to get there. So, this seduction is pretty pretty pervasive in our culture. We've been taught. That's why the first book I hand people is "There's nothing wrong with you." Quit saying that. Quit trying to figure out what's wrong with you, because that's what you're going to find. Why don't you look for what's right with you? If you spent half as much time looking for what's right with you, you'd be content.
Reminding me of what Shani just was talking about reminds me very much of some of our first conversations. When I first joined this group, and I made the statement that there is nothing in our culture that supports the idea of contentment. There is nothing in our media or our advertising that suggests this is good, this is enough.
Okay.
It's never enough.
Okay. I'm going to caution you again. Listen to what you just said. See, this is the power of words. When you say there's nothing in our culture, what are we doing right now, Tiff? This is in the culture.
There are very few things in our culture.
Atta
See how
girl.
different that is?
Atta girl.
See?
All right.
No, it's precisely the trap of the mind and the trap of words, because we hear that there's nothing and it's like, oh, fuck, there's nothing. And instead of, yeah, there is something and I'm going to go find it. I'm going to feed myself that.
Tiffany, what does that to me incessantly? And I really have had to work really hard to be open and not defensive. But I don't hate to say this, he's right about that, because I catch my mind going to extremes of never or all. And it's just not true. And it does have an effect.
Agreed.
I know what it cost you to say that, Matthew, and thank you. That was a genuine act of courage right there, folks. You got an applause right up here out in San Diego.
Yeah.
You got a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guy.
I was going to say thank you. Very grateful for the leading us through the sensations in the body, or concentration on the body. I think since the late 90s, the Dalai Lama has been meeting with neuroscientists pretty regularly, and they talk about these connections literally being so important for us, for your brain to organize. So slowing down and concentrating on literally the neural connections in the different parts of the brain is tremendously important for us to do on a regular basis, which is, part of the meditation. So thank you for leading that. And I think in your yoga, there's a name for that when we're laying down and we go through the whole body.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yoga Nidra.
Right. Secondly, the thing that I was going to say was that in the very beginning with the poem, where the suddenly the tree turns around, or you're seeing the world in a different light. When I had done the Camino in Spain, and you're walking every day, we used to talk about instead of putting your feet on the ground when you're walking, you're talking about the earth holding you up,
Yeah.
right? So it's a totally different way of looking at the world. And so much of it is perspective.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. So our minds are an energy intensifier. So realize that whenever you focus your awareness on something, that's the element of reality you're intensifying. So if I'm always looking at the negative, and excuse anybody who has refined sensibilities, which I'm obviously lacking. If you go out in your backyard and stick your nose in a pile of dog shit, you're going to have a shitty day. It's going to look shitty. It's going to smell shitty. And I'm not going to be able to argue with you. But if I step back and look, I can see that the encore azaleas are blooming. I can see that the sasakuas are blooming. I can see that things are in bud and there's dog shit in the yard. It's both and, people. It's both and. And the capacity to see that at the same time without having to choose. This is why we get into what's called choiceless meditation. I'm going to sit here and be here and not choose what I'm going to experience. Whoa. Whoa, really?
It's Ram Dass in the middle of the meditation with a massive room full of people, and the delivery truck arrives outside going beep, 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 backing up, you know, and he says, I love that truck. Because you can't fight it. What can you do about it? It was part of the moment, and we remember, you know.
Because
that,
everyone gets anxious the minute it starts.
Yeah.
You feel the anxiety in the room. Everyone, oh God, is it going to disturb him? Am I going to miss something? Of course, I've already missed it, having that thought.
Well, he turned it into a positive experience.
Yeah. So we need to bow out here. Anybody have anything, burning desire, burning bush?
Well, one thing that happened to me while we were doing the meditation is when you did light and said your whole body is light,
Yep.
it wasn't weight,
Yes.
it was light.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're welcome.
yeah. And I have to mention one thing that came to mind for me is my sister-in-law, Alice, sitting there always, you know, when we would walk a trail and notice certain things, and the minute you turn around and go the other direction to get back home, it's totally different.
Yeah.
You notice other things. Oh, wow, I didn't see that a minute ago, or you know, it's that perspective. It was there, you know, just didn't see it.
And by the way, Drew, your poetry reminded me of Thomas's poetry. So I very much resonated with you while I picked that poem. So,
Okay,
Omi, almost out.
all right. Time passed quickly.
Yeah, when you're having a great time.
Deep breath in. Have a great week, everybody.
You
Thank
guys
you.
too. Love you so much. Mwah.
Love you, Tim.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.